Hello, everyone. My name is DJ. I am the Vice President of On-Air Operations. I oversee distribution for NBC broadcast and the Telemundo broadcast network. So think of that as like when you turn on the TV and you're watching Sunday Night Football or you're watching Saturday Night Live, Today Show, Primetime, etc. We're the guys that make sure that it gets to your provider, whether you're watching on Time Warner, DirecTV, Dish, etc. So we oversee all the distribution for the broadcast networks. I think for us, honestly, what you mentioned, that in every day we're using those skills, whether it's collaborating and like it's an organization, right? There's multiple people that makes up the organization. So not one person is able to do that. So that teamwork aspect is an everyday thing. Like Nalby and I work together on multiple projects as we go through the day, through the weeks. I'll say from a technology perspective, some of the things that we rely on, just the way that we distribute the network, the way that we get to our viewers is all based on technology. It's all based on that skill set. When it comes to problem solving, same thing. Critical thinking is the way that we solve really difficult problems, right? How do we drive down our tech costs? How do we become more efficient? How do we become more productive? And there's a people aspect of that too. Like how do we take care of our people that kind of keep the place running? So I think for me, all of those aspects are kind of what makes up our everyday work that we do here. If you're all in the same room and you all have from the same background, from the same training, you're going to probably come up with the same solutions, right? So for us, it's important to have diversity of thought in any room, no matter how complex the problem, no matter how simple the problem. And you find that good ideas kind of come from anywhere. And what we do here is try to foster a culture where good ideas or solutions can come from anywhere in the organization, whether senior leaders or frontline operators. I'm thinking of storytelling and how that crosses over into what we do. Because you can have, again, a fantastic idea, groundbreaking idea, but if you're not able to like really captivate an audience and tell that audience, like, here's why this is important, here's why it's valuable. So I have my schooling is in English. So my background is not in technology. So one of the things that I bring to my current profession is just the art of being able to tell stories and being able to like get projects moving, get people motivated and get people excited about things. So that to me could be considered bringing art into the kind of technology world as we know it. I always explain my role with think about like a cash register, right? So you think about the company and the way we make revenue. We make revenue in a couple of different ways, but one of the main ways we make revenue is around commercials. So if you're watching NBC on in the background, when they're finished with the segment, they'll go to commercial break, just like any of you that's consume media, you'll watch a commercial. So the way that my team is the team that's here 24/7, pandemic and no pandemic, we're here, making sure that when you turn on the TV, there's something there to watch, as I mentioned before. The why I liken it to a cash register is because if the Chevy commercial doesn't air, NBC Universal as a company can't collect on that revenue from Chevy or from Apple or from you name Toyota, whatever. And we are the last line of defense, right? Everything kind of collide here where the program schedule for say a Chicago PD or Chicago Fire, whatever, all of that kind of converge here in our kind of what we call our playlist, our automation playlist. And then my team is responsible for catching and flagging and fixing any discrepancy with that playlist to ensure that as a viewer at home, you're watching the TV and it's going to the program and then it goes to commercial and then it comes back to the program. And to you, it's seamless, but there's actually a lot of tech, a lot of operations behind that that's making sure that that's working for all of our NBC Universal properties, right? Whether it's CNBC, MSNBC, or it's the broadcast network or Telemundo. So that's in a nutshell what my team does. As far as like what I do, I manage all of the scheduling for the teams for all of the channels to make sure that the program schedule, if you're watching Bravo, if you're watching USA, all of that is working properly, down all the way down to the live show that you're seeing now on CNBC behind me. My team is a team making sure that schedule is working. Then I also have a team that does all of our affiliates engagement. So they're the ones reaching out to all of our partners, all of our, again, the Dishes of the world, the DirecTVs, the Time Warners of the world. We have I manage a team that interface with them. And then the main part of my responsibility is the actual on-air operation. So I have about, close to 100 people that are here 24/7 on shifts, making sure 3 shifts per day, making sure that television as you know it when you turn it on is there. So that's a large part of my group is just making sure that's there. And that's everything from change control, if we want to update the tech, or if we want to roll out a new system, we want to do a project like any kind of the Olympics are coming up or the Super Bowl is coming up. So that's what we're planning on right now to make sure when you turn on for the Winter Olympics or for the Super Bowl, that's going okay for the whole country. So those are the kind of things that we're doing day to day now to just make sure that again, for you guys it's transparent. You turn on the TV and content's there, but there's an entire operation behind that I run, that making sure that's happening for you seamlessly. I think for me, I've had a lot of, I grew up in the inner city of Philadelphia, so I've had a lot of programs and like folks just being champions of mine, etc., to get me into the place I am now. And now I just did a panel earlier today where I serve on the board of this organization called Minds Matter here in Colorado, where we try to do this very thing and get students that may not have the resources to get to college, right? So this particular subject is very close and dear to my heart. One of the programs though that I think specifically kind of transformed me or my kind of career trajectory. Back in the day, for television internships, they didn't pay. So when I graduated, I did a International Radio and Television Society fellowship in New York. And basically what that is they bring you to New York for, I don't know, 8 weeks, and you get to intern. You're like, and it's not just a New York thing. It's not just a minority, etc. thing. It's like the top media students from across the country kind of converge on Manhattan, and you get like CBS internships, you get NBC internships, you get ABC, etc. You get the picture. My internship was actually with NBC, and I just never left, right? But the important why I want to call out this organization is because if you don't get paid at your internship, how are you going to afford to live in Manhattan? You guys are all from the New York area, so you understand what I'm saying there. So the program basically puts you up in NYU dorms, and they give you a stipend so you can eat, which is fantastic. A stipend so you can get the Metro card, which back in the day was like 85 bucks and 90 bucks or something like that. It's probably 100 and something now. And that was really transformative for me because, again, growing up in the inner city of Philadelphia, my parents can't afford to pay for an apartment for me in Manhattan for the summer or pay for my food for the summer. So that's one I know for me that's near and dear to my heart. And for you guys that are coming through now, if you're in high school, as you get into college, it's a good program for you to look into, because I think they take like sophomore, juniors, and seniors after you graduate, because I did it after I graduated. So just a great program. The good news is that nowadays in media, in my space, we actually pay our interns. So not that you can afford a penthouse apartment in Manhattan, but you'll be able to live in Manhattan on your own if you get an internship with NBC, and I'm sure CBS and all the other companies are doing it as well. But that's just one for me that if it not for that program, I would have never ended up in New York, and who knows what my career trajectory would have been. So that one is very, very close and near and dear to my heart.